Oh, okay. Great. Oh, okay.
All right, so Rabbi Braun, thank you for bringing the donuts, and thank you for the idea of starting the shir. As I was reading about the Chovos Havavos, I was thinking we should have learned this earlier. I feel bad that we haven't started learning this earlier. It's really an amazing sefer. It was written about 1,000 years ago in Spain. That was the time when Spain was under control of the Arabs. So this book was written in Judeo-Arabic. It actually wasn't written in Hebrew. It was later translated into Hebrew by Rabbi Ibn Tibbon, and then there were later translations later. But it was written in Arabic, so the common people could read it. Those who couldn't read Hebrew, they could read Judeo-Arabic. It was kind of like Yiddish. It seems like it was like a yeshivish Arabic that was written with Hebrew letters, like Yiddish a little bit. And then the rest of the world heard about it, and they wanted to learn it too. So it was translated into Hebrew. And again, 1,000 years ago, this is the time of the Rishonim. So we're talking about approximately the time of Rashi. Now, great rabbis and Jewish leaders have praised this book since it was written. Beis Yosef, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, who learned with an angel, and he wrote a book about his discussions with this angel. One of the things the angel told him was that he should learn the Sefer Chovos Havavos every day. That's how important it is. Actually, he said it to him in Parshas Bahar, so the Parsha we just read last week. So this is very fortuitous that we're starting it now. The Chassam Sofer used to start every shir he gave with a piece from the Chovos Havavos. So we're learning a certain section of Chovos Havavos. It's the section of Bitachon, of trust in Hashem, trust in God. Now it's very important, trusting in Hashem. In fact, the Chovos Havavos puts this towards the beginning of a sefer. First he talks about ways to understand the truth of there being God, and then he talks about the importance of serving Hashem, and then when he gets into the particulars about serving Hashem, the first thing he talks about is Bitachon, is trusting in Hashem. Now, trust in Hashem, we know it's important, but I think sometimes we don't realize how important. There's a pasuk in Mishlei, Proverbs, written by King Solomon. The pasuk says, Lios B'Hashem Miftachecha Hodaticha Hayom Af Ata, that your trust should be in Hashem. I have made known to you this day, even you. So what does that mean? What does that mean that in order that your trust should be in Hashem, I've made it known to you? So the Vilna Gaon says this refers to the giving of the Torah. The Vilna Gaon says the whole purpose of the giving of the Torah is just that we come to trust in Hashem. It's a pretty big statement. In fact, it's really a Gemara. The Vilna Gaon points out in a Daras Eliyahu that this is really a Gemara. The Gemara Makkas, Chaf Daled Amud Aleph. No, you learn Makkas, right? You learn Makkas? Right. I don't know if you got up to this yet. This is the very end of the Gemara. It says, Habakuk v'amidam al achas, v'tzadik v'emunaso yichya. Habakuk, the prophet, wanted to encapsulate the Torah in one verse, and the verse that he chose was v'tzadik v'emunaso yichya, that a righteous person, in his faith, he will live. That the whole purpose of the Torah, again, is coming to a faith in Hashem. Now, what does it mean to have trust in Hashem? What does it mean to have faith in Hashem? So, trust in Hashem means that I recognize that God is in control of everything. That even though I'm putting my efforts into certain things, really my success is not dependent on me, it's dependent on God. And we have to live with that belief. Ramat Yisrael Solomon, in his Sefer, this is Ramat Yisrael Solomon, the former Mashgiach of Lakewood, who recently passed away, so he has a commentary on this. So he says a parable to how to help us understand Bitachon. He says, imagine 100 years ago, 150 years ago, you're in the shtetl in Europe, and some guy comes and he says, I want to show you something. I have a horseless carriage, a carriage that goes without horses. The guy says, I don't believe that. That can't exist. That's impossible. So he says, come, I'll show you. So he sits him in the seat, and the guy comes, he starts cranking up the engine, like back in the day, and he sits in the car. And then, little by little, the car starts going. And the guy says, wow, this is going, but it's much slower than a horse and buggy. So you know what? When you want the horse to go faster, you hit the horse. I'm going to start hitting the car. So he starts hitting the car, and little by little, the car starts going faster and faster. So he says, oh, look what I did. I made the car go faster. Little does he know the reason the car is going faster is because the engine just needed time to warm up. So Ramat Yisrael Solomon says that's the same thing in our lives. We put in all this effort, we do whatever we do, but really, our success is not coming from us at all. The success is always coming from Hashem. Now, once we have that idea, that makes us approach the world a lot differently. So it means if we have an issue, if we need something, then our main focus is going to be in trying to connect to Hashem so we can be successful. We're going to pray to Him, We're going to put our trust in Him. We're going to be careful the way we do mitzvos. Obviously, we'll talk about the balance between hishtadlos and bitachon, the effort that we have to put in, because God didn't want it just to be miracles. He didn't want us to just sit. Right, it's also a very good day that we're starting. To Lag BaOmer, it says is the day when the manna started falling from heaven. The manna represents faith in Hashem, because the Jewish people in the desert, they didn't work for a living. Manna came down and they ate it, and they had to trust that every day Hashem was going to give them manna. So it's very appropriate that we're starting to learn about trust in Hashem today, but that's not how the world operates anymore. We have to have the same trust in Hashem, but we also have to put in a certain amount of effort in ourselves, but we have to recognize that effort is not coming from us, but rather it's coming from Hashem. So, sounds very easy, right? Just trust in Hashem. Very easy, not so hard. No, it's hard. It takes a lifetime of work. So I want to, before we start actually the Sefer, I want to start by saying I think if anyone has any other ideas, I think there's 3 ways that we could work and trust in Hashem. Now before we talk about these 3 ways, it's important to know that there are levels. There's a million levels a person can trust in Hashem, right? And we can't skip and go to level 100 before we're even at level 1. Right? The Chazon Ish in his Sefer talks about the people who have fake bitachon. They go around saying, "Oh, I trust in God, and as soon as they have a difficulty, all of a sudden they do everything, kol davar asur, they do everything forbidden in order to make themselves successful, because their trust in God was just lip service. So it's very dangerous to go and just say, "Oh, I trust in Hashem, I'm going to quit my job, and Hashem will give me parnasa, and I won't have to worry about it." No, don't do that right away. So how do we get there? How do we trust in Hashem? So I think there are 3 main ways that we get to trust in Hashem. I mean, if you just come to this year once a week, you'll hear nice ideas. Maybe they'll seep in a little bit, but I don't think it's really going to help us grow seriously in trusting in God unless we do these 3 things. So the first thing, I don't know which is most important, but it's very important. When we trust in Hashem is actually doing it in our lives. Doing it in our lives, trusting in Hashem. What's an example of that? An example is that instead of giving an example, I'll tell you a story. Another story. There was, I said this story over on Thursday. There was a print shop in Bnei Brak. Guy owned a print shop, and he was the only show in town for many years. And there's halachas, if someone has a business, if you're allowed to open up a business right around the corner from him. And you're usually not allowed to do that. So some guy went and opened up a business right around from him. So, you're the only show in town for years. You'd be very upset that he did this. What did he do? The guy goes over, the original owner, and walks in the store and says, "Hey, I saw you just open up a print shop. You know, I've been in the business for many years, and I want to help you out. If there's any help, anything you need, what type of paper, what type of ink is the best, please just come. I want to help you as much as I can." Someone who has bitachon, trusting God, and he knows that his parnasa is coming from Hashem, he can do that. He can go to his competitor and help his competitor. Someone who wouldn't have bitachon, he would go and try to undermine his competitor at every chance that he got. He would probably spread lashon hara about him throughout the community. You know what this Russia did? He opened up a competition. He's not allowed to do that halachically. He's a Russia. You shouldn't go to his store. He would probably go to community leaders to try to get them to make kol kores against this guy who whatever he did. But someone who has bitachon, is trusting God, says, "No, I'm going to do the right thing, and God is going to help me." So the first thing we can do to get bitachon is by using it in our lives, which means another example could be a person who has bitachon, he has to put in the normal amount of effort in order to be successful, but he doesn't do things that are outside of the ordinary. Someone who's desperate to make money will do all sorts of crazy things and all sorts of schemes in order to make money. But someone who has bitachon says, "No, I'm going to go to my regular job. I'm going to do what I have to do, and I have bitachon that Hashem is going to take care of me because I'm putting in the normal amount of effort." A person who has that bitachon has the calmness to know that if he puts in the normal amount of effort, he doesn't have to do crazy things after. So again, there's a million things that happen in our day where we could put the bitachon into practice. Putting it into practice, actually doing what we're learning about, that's the most important thing. Now the second thing is davening, prayer, right? Prayer, davening, is an exercise in bitachon because we're asking for Hashem for our needs. If we recognize that our success, I keep saying parnasa, it's a very big one. If we recognize that our success in making a living is from Hashem and not from actually working, that when we're working we're just hitting the car, right? Then we're going to focus a lot more on davening. Well, I should really pay attention to what I'm asking from Hashem because my success is from Hashem. So when I daven, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to put my whole heart that Hashem should help me because that's really where my success is coming from. Yeah, I'm going to go to work after, but if I have 2 options of Where is my success coming from? The morning when I go to davening or when I'm actually at the office? I'm going to put more focus in davening, because that's really where my success comes. Obviously, you shouldn't just go to work and be on Facebook all day. That's not going to be helpful. So that's the second thing, is davening. And the third thing, I think, is in addition to learning about bitachon, because we have to know, there's a lot of specifics. We keep talking about trust in Hashem. We have to learn, well, what are the levels? We have to learn about when a person should trust in Hashem, when he shouldn't trust in Hashem. Obviously, he always trusts in Hashem, but when he should actually put in his own effort. And there's a million things. Now, Rabbi Yisrael Salanter says, in order to obtain any midah, any character traits, one of the things you could do is to meditate on that midah, meditate on that character trait, and to say, let's say, a pasuk about bitachon, or a statement in Chazal about bitachon, and you say it over and over again with a niggin. When you repeat something with a tune, and you meditate on it, this is something we don't do anymore. Meditation seems like an Eastern crazy thing, but it's really not. There's really a place for meditation in Judaism. He talks about meditating and just sitting and thinking about an idea of bitachon, and when you think about it over and over and over again, it becomes part of you. So again, the three ways we work on bitachon is by putting it into practice, by davening, and by learning about it and saying it over and over again. Okay, so that was the introduction. I just wanted to start a little bit, and then we will conclude. So this is I'll just do a couple lines, because we spent a long time talking about that. Okay, so again, he starts. This is the Psicha, his introduction. This is the fourth Shaar. There's 10 Shaars in the Chavos Havavos. This is the fourth Shaar. To have trust and faith, reliance in Hashem. And this is the introduction. Amar Mechaber, says the author, since we just talked about the importance of serving Hashem, I wanted to discuss now the thing which is more important than anything else when serving Hashem. And that is relying and trusting in God for everything. And this gives many benefits, to great benefits, whether it's for the Torah and whether for a person's spiritual life or for his physical life. The advantages that a person gets in the spirituality, he says that a person who has trust in Hashem, he's relaxed. He doesn't have to worry about what's going to happen. He trusts in Hashem, so he could be relaxed. Just like a servant he trusts in his master, right? Everything that a servant has is from his master. So just like a servant relies on his master and he doesn't have to worry because his master is going to provide it for him, so too Hashem is going to provide it for us. And this is a very famous line, a very important line. He says, if a person doesn't believe in God, he's going to have to believe in something else. Someone who believes or trusts in something besides Hashem, Hashem will take his providence away from him, and he will put him in the hand of that who he trusts in. Meaning, don't think that, either I'm not going to trust in anybody or I'll trust in Hashem. It's not like that. You have to trust in somebody. Ramat Solomon points out, you go to a baker, you're trusting in the baker that he didn't poison your bread. Right? You go buy sushi here in ShopRite. You're trusting that the guy making the sushi is wearing gloves and he washed his hands after he went to the bathroom. So there's a tain on a person, meaning in your life you have to trust other people. You have to trust something. There's no such thing. If you don't trust anybody, you can't do anything. Right? How do you know your car that he put the brakes in right? A million things. So he says there's a tain on somebody, right? You trust in people, but you're not going to trust in Hashem. Then there's a tefillah on a person. And he says, you put your trust in Hashem, Hashem will take care of you. You put your trust in somebody else, then Hashem says, okay, let that person take care of you. So who would you rather be having taken care of you, right? A person Chas v'Shalom is sick. He says, the doctor's going to make me better. Okay, so Hashem puts you in the hands of the doctor. If the doctor can help you, he can help you. If he can't, he can't. Whatever, derech hateva. Put your trust in Hashem. Well, Hashem can heal anything. Let's just finish up. He's going to quote some psukim here. V'yeh kamish nemar, it says, so, kishtayim ra'as asa imi, you did two. The people that don't have trust in me, you did two evils with me. Osi ozvu, you abandoned me. Makor ma'im chaim, the source of life. Latzav lahem ba'oros, to dig pits, uba'oros nishparim, and the pits they break. I mean, not only did you not have faith in me, but you had faith in other things which are not reliable. V'amar, it says, v'amira es kvaydam b'tav neshor oichel esav, referring to the egel. It says they traded you traded your honor for a calf that eats grass. So he's saying here, you trust in Hashem, Hashem will take care of you. A person doesn't trust in Hashem, he says, okay, you don't trust in me, let whoever you trust in takes care of yourself. And now he's going to go, next week we'll learn, he's going to go through different things that you might trust in besides Hashem, and how that will work out if you do that. Okay, got it.